There is a particularly enigmatic and dangerous fairy that you may never have heard of. A fairy that emanates an inexplicable glow which draws people to him and possesses a touch that will break your heart. Beware the tunes that touch your heart, the Gancanagh will play the soul. Beware, sweet lass, don't crave his art, he'll pierce your heart and leave a hole. Do you think it's possible that some fairies feed or nourish themselves off human emotions? Many's the fairy take pleasure in helping us, others in teasing us, and some in causing us harm too. But what if there was a fairy who was nourished by the emotional pain and suffering of humans? Well, there is a member of the fairy folk, rarely spoken of, who it is believed by many thrives from the misery and torment that he causes to human women. He is known as the Gancanagh or the love talker. Reports of this fairy breaking hearts and stealing the sanity of wide-eyed, innocent women have been passed down through generations. That old saying that it's the quiet ones you need to watch, well, it applies perfectly to the Gancanagh. He wreaks havoc subtly, with longing eyes and in sweet whispers. And this is why he has been able to ply his trade for so very long. W.B. Yeats recorded the following account of the Gancanagh from a Mr. O'Kearney of County Louth in Ireland. The Gancanagh personated love and idleness, and always appeared with a pipe in his jaw in lonesome valleys, and it was his custom to make love to shepherdesses and milkmaids. It was considered very unlucky to meet him, and whoever was known to have ruined their fortune by devotion to the fair sex was said to have met a Gancanagh. To understand the Gancanagh, just how he is so irresistibly attractive to human women and leaves a trail of heartache in his wake, we must address his appearance. Traditionally, he is tall, lean, but muscular, and an immensely handsome man. But handsome is subjective, isn't it? When you think of handsome, you may see your own partner, or maybe you see a brooding Daniel Day-Lewis, while another sees a rugged Paul Newman. Well, the Gancanagh will appear before you in whichever form you find most attractive, and he will possess an ethereal quality which is both intoxicating and irresistible. And that's where your trouble begins. In days past, he was known to appear before an unsuspecting woman out of the blue, often leaning against a tree or a large stone, in a nonchalant sort of manner and with a pipe resting between his lips. Oh, I'm still seeing Daniel Day-Lewis. But let's talk about the pipe. This pipe was never lit, which hints that while he likes the look of the pipe, he doesn't actually like the smell of the burning tobacco. He dresses in a style which is pleasing to his prey at that time. His hair and his skin are always clean, and of course he smells lovely too. Then, with sparkling eyes and a half smile, he tips his hat and utters a warm greeting to her. Their eyes meet, and her downfall is underway. In a parish in County Tipperary, there lived a family with 3 beautiful girls. These sisters were the admiration of everybody, but the youngest of the 3 exceeded the others in her beauty and charm of manners. The way to the Catholic Church from their home was a mass path which led by a very airy ford. Well, one Sunday, when the youngest sister was going to Mass, she met near the fort a tall, red-haired man who engaged her in conversation for some minutes. When at last she reached the chapel, Mass had just begun, and the less attentive or devout of the worshippers noticed that as she passed them by on her way through the crowded church, she looked very much upset. At the rising of the host, it was reported that she gave 3 screeches for the foxy man. She was taken out of the church by her father in a dazed condition and never again recovered her senses or her charm. But after some time, when she had partially recovered her strength, she used to spend a good part of each day in a paddock with a fierce bull. It was an everyday sight to see her scratching the bull's horn, with her arm thrown affectionately around his neck. No 3 men in the district would be willing to enter the field in which this bull was, so fierce was he, yet this girl had become its master. How very strange, isn't it? Well, the Gancanagh chooses a young woman who he thinks will make a quick and easy conquest. He has been watching her, stalking her as a hunter stalks its prey, until he knows her habits and hobbies. Then he sets his trap, a meeting of happenstance. He saturates her with his charm. She can barely breathe through his seductive aura, barely see past his magnetic smile. They whisper their secrets and desires. He gets closer and closer to her until they reach the point of no return. A shimmering glow emanates from the Gancanagh, and she is hopeless to free thought. Once she has touched him, she essentially becomes a slave to his every desire, and he inevitably seduces her. Once she has experienced his intimate touch, all is lost. He devours her chastity, which she gives willingly. Then, like a cat with a mouse, he gets bored, and they enter the final stage of his game. The Gancanagh cruelly withdraws his affection and disappears. Her heart is broken, and for some women, their reputation is in tatters too. Some return to the place that they met over and again, hopelessly pining for his return, tumbling into a depression, spiraling into madness. Some women have starved, withered and died, still longing for the touch of their Gancanagh. I met the love talker one eve in the glen. He was handsomer than any of our handsome young men. I was bound for the milking with a heart fair and free. My grief, that bitter hour drained the life from me. I thought him human lover, though his lips on mine were cold, and the breath of death blew keen on me within his hold. I know not what way he came, no shadow fell behind, but all the sighing rushes swayed beneath a fairy wind. The thrush ceased its singing, a mist crept about. We two clung together with the world shut out. His eyes were a fire, his words were a snare. I cried my mother's name, but no help was there. I made the blessed sign, then he gave a dreary moan. A wisp of cloud went floating by, and I stood alone. We are left to wonder why he does this. Is he just a cruel, evil creature with nothing better to do with his time than to torment humans? I can't help wondering if he feeds off the emotions of humans, if the intense pleasure and insufferable pain he derives from us somehow nourishes him. But where is he now? Has he faded into the mists of time, or does he still stalk and seduce unsuspecting women? If it is true that he has worked his vocation so long, surely he has adapted along the way. No longer does he stand lazily posed against a sun-dappled tree with a pipe resting between his lips, but we may find him sitting at a bus stop, posing with an unlit cigarette, or sipping a latte at a hipster cafe, or in the local library, or volunteering at an animal sanctuary. He could be anywhere that we are, and if he gets his sights set on you, he'll seduce you in the precise way that you want to be seduced. My wish for you is that you never encounter the Gancanagh. So here are some tips to help keep you safe from a modern-day Gancanagh. Let's say you've met a gorgeous man just by happen chance, and he is everything that you've ever dreamed of. Just pause a moment. You can recognize a Gancanagh if he is posing with an unlit cigarette in his hand, or if the air around him seems to glimmer or shine, or if you feel intoxicated just being in his company. Get yourself away from him and into the fresh air where you can think clearly. Or if you notice all the birds quieten when he is around, because birds recognize a predator and will not sing near a Gancanagh. And finally, if this dream man you've just met seems too good to be true, you need to think twice. But wait, there's one last interesting tip. An amulet made from the twigs of a rowan and mistletoe, pinned together with an iron nail and bound with a blood-soaked thread, will, it is said, protect you from the diabolically fiendish charm of the Gancanagh. I don't know if you can hear that. There's a kookaburra outside my window. And it's singing. Well, this is life in Australia. And hey, if you think I've earned it, please give me a thumbs up. I'd really appreciate it. Until next time, stay curious and be kind. Cheerio!